Hey, what's up, Reefers? Doing a last minute update before I head off to California for a long weekend trip. My plan is to drive the Pacific Coast Highway 1, take some photos for my adventure travel blog, gogovagabond.com if you have not checked it out yet. And it will be about 4.5 days trip. Please don't rob me. There's nothing of value in the house unless you want to come grab some coral. In that case, just let me know. I'll hook you up. So a quick update to my tank. I tried something different this week, partly due to laziness. I noticed that after my New York trip last weekend, things seems to be doing pretty well. I guess the corals like the fact that I stopped sticking my hand in the tank and tweak all the stuff all the time, and things are opening up well. So I figure, okay, this week the house is kind of cold. I don't want to stick my hand in there, and I want to see how the corals continue to act if I keep my hands out of my tank. So I made a conscious effort to stop sticking my hand in the tank just to tweak every little thing, and sure enough, things are happy. I'm kind of hurt, but you know, it's all good as long as things are happy. So I have been through a period of something like this in the past before with my older tank. When I had a 65 gallon, there would be a stretch of time where I just kind of almost neglect the tank, but the tank kind of stabilized and things are doing really well. And sure, certain corals kind of just take over the entire tank. For example, like the green singulata, the frog spawn, purple long tentacle anemones. But things are doing really well and it looks really good. And I think that actually gives me an idea. Down the road, I'll share some of my older videos of my other tanks, and you can see what I did, and you'll finally understand why I call myself the Inappropriate Reefer. All right, well, enough talk. Let's go down to the nitty-gritties, and let's talk a little bit about update this week. By the way, I'm using a tripod right now. That's why it's kind of stable, but when I want to focus on different things, it's a little bit tougher. All right, first thing I want to talk about is the Rickodia versus Torch, as well as the Ammo Crab. So as you can see, it has been a week, more than a week actually, week and a half, 2 weeks, since the Torch fell into the Rickodia mushroom. And at that time, the Rickodia looked a lot worse than the Torch. The Torch pretty much came out unscratched. But things were not really that case. The Rickodia, when I discovered it, the Ammo Crab was picking on the polyp. And we were debating whether the Ammo Crab is eating the dead tissue or is it actually taking advantage of the situation and eating the live tissue as well. Well, the Ammo Crab was just eating the dead tissue. It kind of left the polyp alone after it kind of finished the dead tissue. I did not bother them at all. I just kind of left it. I just want to see what the crab is doing. So the Ammo Crab ignored the rest of the polyp, and right now, as you can see, it kind of puffed up again. It looks perfect. It looks good as new. As for the Torch coral, at first I thought he came out the victor, right? But for the remainder of the week, it kind of stayed closed up. It's not until today that it started opening up like this again. So even right now, it's not fully open. At its peak, it's probably maybe even 30% larger than what it is right now. But right now, it is a huge improvement already compared to how it was in the last few days. So I'm really happy. That means everything is good. But I learned my lesson. So before I head off to my California trip this long weekend, I'm gonna use some two-part epoxy just to kind of stick the plug into the hole and make sure nothing can knock it over. So I guess I have a fear of commitment. I'm really I'm really resistant to either gluing or epoxying coral plugs into rock work because I feel like, okay, that's fine. It's hard to move them afterwards. But I think that the Torch coral looks happy there. You know, it looks nice too in the currents. And the way it expands tells me that, okay, it's probably a nice spot for it. Maybe down the road I'll grow it, but not anytime soon. So before I leave, I'm going to epoxy it down to make sure the same thing does not happen, where a hermit crab or something knocked the whole frack into the Rickodia down there, and we have to go through the whole thing again, if it even survives this time. So that is the Ammo Crab, Torch coral, and the Rickodia situation. Let me pan over to the left. We'll see the clam is doing well. I'm still dosing phytoplankton once a week in little bit, just a supplement and just in case it's not getting enough things from the water and enough lights. and I do not see any decline yet. So it seems to be doing well, and I see that the shell seems to be getting a little bit larger, but not as quickly as I was expecting from what I read. So we'll see how it goes. One cool thing is that I think right in front of the clam, the Zoa plug is actually, I think it's called Autocleas, if I'm remembering right. So in the last 2 weeks, it actually popped up a lot of polyps. You can't really see it now, and one of them is closed. It was one big polyp and then one tiny polyp for the longest time. But in the span of 2 weeks, two new polyps came up, and they're actually a decent size now, although they're kind of on the other side, so you can't really see it. So I'm really happy. That means like after so long, finally it deems the tank worthy to be living in, and is growing. So that's great. Or maybe the fact that I stopped sticking my hands in the tank helps too. So moving on up, you see something is missing. So my bubble tip anemone, the brighter one, I should give it a name. Let's just call it the brighter bubble tip anemone for now. Move on to the top right. It was a little bit lower before. It was, let me see if I can stick my hand. It was in this spot before. So it kind of migrated right here. There was the original rainbow bubble tip anemone was down here before, underneath the brighter one. It moved. Like 2 days ago it moved. It moved down here. It was roaming. And today I can't find her. I don't know where she went. I kind of looked around. I swung around the tank. I looked around. I couldn't see her at all. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe it went on. Maybe it went off hiding somewhere, and then it'll probably split again. So maybe after this trip I'll see like one extra rainbow bubble tip anemone. And as we can see, the split from last time is still kind of recovering, trying to grow a mouth for the longest time, and the bubble just kind of stayed there. At this point, I'm thinking about just calling it the bounce rainbow bubble tip anemone and charge an arm and a leg for it. So that's a bubble tip anemone situation. It does not look too happy right now, but usually is more inflated. Right now, we just caught him at a strange time. All right, moving to our left. This I'm actually really happy about. So I've never really ventured too deep into SPS because I know I don't have the discipline for it. So I'm really happy to see that the Mandipora capricornis is doing so well. The plating continues to get larger every day, and what really makes me happy right now is actually you see that little green streak next to the white spots. That's actually dead tissue. It's caused by the frog spine covering that area or shading that area, so the tissue kind of receded. But as you can see, I guess the colony is healthy and has enough vitality that it's actually taking back the dead area, it's growing over it. So I'm really happy to see that. And speaking of taking over, do you know what I'm going to talk about next? Check out the green star polyp. It's taking over that little island rock that I got for him. So I'm keeping an eye on him to make sure the green star polyp does not grow onto the Gorgonian. And when I have time, I'm actually thinking about cutting off a little piece of green star polyp and sticking on them on like snails or hermit crab, just to see if it'll take off, because that would be awesome. And those polyps to the left is actually called Captain America. I'm not a huge fan, but I kind of got them when I bought a bunch of stuff. So I'm just kind of letting it grow to see what color it turns out. I think it's supposed to be like green with red center or orange center, but I don't know. We'll see. And that pretty much wraps it up for this week's updates. The main thing I tried this week again is just kind of get my hands out of the tank and just let things settle and stabilize. And the thing seems to be happy. Things seems to be happier that I stopped breathing down the neck. So I'm really looking forward to see how the tank will look after I come back from my California trip. And by the way, I'm shooting this video on a really nice tripod that I just got. Really nice buy in terms of like good bang for the buck. It's not that expensive. It's called Mi Photo. It's a backpacker series, and it's great. I mean, it looks great, packed down small. I'll probably do a review of this on my main channel. I do a lot of reviews on my main channel. If you look up Moki Chow, MOKYICHOW. And yeah, I feel like if you like reef stuff, you may be interested in some of the other stuff that I talk about too in my main channel. It's more like a catch-all with a lot of reviews. And that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, if you guys are interested too, I mentioned that I'm going to California Highway 1 to take some photos for my travel blog. Once again, the site is GoGoVagabond, GoGoVagabond.com. And I mean, it's pretty new, so check it out. Feel free to leave some comments, maybe subscribe to get updates. That would be awesome. I mean, would love to get some feedback, and maybe you'll be interested in some of the places I talk about too. Because I do a lot of snorkeling and scuba diving, which I feel like a lot of you guys will probably be interested in as well if you keep a reef aquarium. And that's enough plug. Apologize, just kind of came to mind. So that's pretty much it for this week's update. Sorry I kind of rambled on. It's almost 11 minutes. And that's pretty much it. I guess I will catch you guys next week when I get back. Alright, have a good weekend, guys.